This is Don't Panic, episode number 387, recorded June 17th, 2024. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Don't Panic, the technology podcast that sometimes talks technology. I'm Shaun Jennings, joined by the Larry Bird and Bill Walton of podcasting. A couple of Celtics legends here going for a championship. It's Dan and Colby. Good evening, gentlemen. Colby, I see you're wearing green for your hometown Celtics.
Oh yeah, go!
And I've heard of one of those people.
Well, I was going to say Bill Russell, and then I
would have heard of Bill Russell.
Yeah, and I said Bill Walton instead, who's good as well. He's perfectly fine. Just passed away, unfortunately.
Not so good as to have pierced the Dan Sports firewall, though.
No, he was a commentator for a long time, and he sort of talked like this. He had a very distinctive voice.
Wow.
One of those guys.
Did he recently die?
He did. He did just a couple weeks ago, unfortunately.
That's why I've heard of him.
Yeah.
Sad.
Unfortunately.
Speaking of things that have died, my Raspberry Pi that was hosting all of my illicit HomeKit devices died. So I got a new Raspberry Pi. But one of the things that was frustrating about the old setup, especially now that, I've been doing this professionally, is I'm no longer satisfied with logging into some computer and setting files up such that it happens to work.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you do that, it could stop working at any time. And then if you're in the situation that I'm in, you have no way of this, I guess I could probably load up the SD card and look at the stuff that's on the SD card. But I'm trying to find a better way to do it. So better way. I'm entering my NixOS phase. It is not going well. I spent all day yesterday trying to get it installed. I did manage to get it installed. It had no internet though. But then, Shaun, you can tune out for this part. The funniest thing is that so the way that NixOS works is instead of like you have a computer and then you do things on the computer and the computer changes, one of the things you can do with it is you can say, I'm going to write a text file and then I'm going to, from one computer, send this text file to another computer, and then that computer will become what is described in this text file. But you can only do that if the computer that you are running on has the same kind of processor as the computer that you are sending the thing to, which neither the Mac, the M1, or my desktop has, turns out. So the only way to achieve a new configuration of NixOS was to do it from the Raspberry Pi, which took several hours. And each time I did it, I had to start all over again if I wanted to change something else. So I was like, okay, go back to the image that works, make all the changes over again that I think I need to make. Now rewrite the new .img file. Now transfer it out over SSH. Now take the SD card, write that image back to it. Now stick it back in, hope it works. Oh shit, I missed this one. So that's what I spent Sunday doing.
Wow.
I learned some stuff, at least.
It sounds painful. Are your HomeKit devices up and running again?
No. They are not.
Oh.
I could have gotten it fixed yesterday. But this is such a cool idea. I didn't realize that this is a thing that NixOS can do. That you just do like -- host and then you give it the address of the other computer you want to change, and you can just like change that computer from your computer. You can be like install Node.js and then it just does it. It's really cool. Or you could build like a little Nix package that is your whole app, and then you can be like, hey, computer over there, go to github.com / hash whatever commit, and then build the Nix file inside of there and run that. And so, yeah, pretty cool, but hard to do on a Raspberry Pi. That would be my advice. Don't do this on a Raspberry Pi.
What do you recommend? Blueberry Pi or an apple pie or?
I like blueberry pie. I think apple pie is so overrated.
Blueberry's
Also,
underrated.
Blueberry is underrated. I think the crust is the best part of any pie.
I like a crumble on top. I don't need double crust. Crust underneath is good. Don't need it on top. Blueberry with the crumble, home run.
Okay.
I like strawberry rhubarb pie.
Oh,
Ooh.
God.
Can you do anything else with rhubarb other than make a pie? I don't think I've ever seen rhubarb in anything other than a pie.
That's a good point. Can't you get a rhubarb jam maybe?
Possibly. I thought rhubarb, a word I've never typed out in my entire life.
I think
Someone once told me it was like poisonous.
the leaves. So rhubarb is like the part you eat is like the stalky part. It kind of looks like celery, but the leaves at the top of it make you sick. Not good for people or dogs.
Oh, I have another tech update. Speaking of eating plants, we have a vegetable garden now, and the good news is that we ate our first vegetable out of the vegetable garden last week, which was one solitary sugar snap pea
Is the
pod.
bad news that you got violently ill?
No. But the Swiss chard is providing quite the feast for something that's not us, such that the Swiss chard is now dying before it even got that big. So the first thing I thought of, we put up a net and it didn't work. There's already a fence around it. That's not working. So the next thing I was like, well, we need to know what this thing is. And we're pretty sure it's not a bug because it's like the whole leaf is just gone down to the ground. Like, I don't think a slug or a bug is going to do that. So I got one of those like hunter, what do you call them?
Like
They
the
don't, wildlife camera?
motion-
That's not what they're called.
Maybe with like the motion detector that snaps.
Yes,
a
and
picture.
it looks like if the turrets from Portal were covered in camouflage. Yeah. I need to take a photo of it because it does look really funny. But it also is not working because I don't think those things are designed to work at short distances. So I have it like up maybe about 5 feet on the trellis pointed down, and it never goes off. But if I set it up at the driveway and walk across it, it goes off.
I see.
So still unclear. We added diatomaceous earth, and we killed a bunch of snails, which was sort of disturbing. But we still lost some Swiss chard leaves. And then Lena added wet rolled up newspaper, something earwigs, something. We haven't checked those yet. But if you have any ideas, technological or otherwise, on how to resolve this.
You don't know what the thing is. Do you have any hypotheses? Are there rabbits in your neighborhood?
There are 100% rabbits in the neighborhood. You see them all over the place. My thought was
it's
that
probably the rabbits.
that it is in a raised bed with chicken wire around it, stapled to the raised bed, would mean that they couldn't dig under it. And I wouldn't think that they would jump over it. It's like 2 feet, 3 feet high, maybe. I think they could. It's just if I were a rabbit, I wouldn't want to be stuck in a box. But maybe they do. My current operating theory is squirrels, though you never really hear about squirrels doing this, but squirrels could certainly climb the fence.
Right. We have a squirrel in our garden that eats stuff. Our squirrel, like, he just will, like, go and, like, take a bite out of every tomato. Or, like, passing by, like, the rose
He's a
bush,
sampler.
like, just take a bite, like, chomp off one flower and then just throw it on the ground.
That's smart, because if you're a squirrel, you want to be able to keep coming back to this well every day and get another tomato, I would have thought.
Oh, yeah.
So I think whatever creature this is also extremely greedy.
Could be we have rats. The rats like to eat stuff. The rats will like dig like whenever we plant new stuff, like the night after, the rats will like go and like dig around and see if we buried anything good. It's very weird.
Interesting.
Yeah. But I think the rats will go over fences and stuff. Also, chicken wire, like, depending on how big your bunnies are, some of them can go through chicken wire. We've seen bunnies go through chicken wire.
That would be crazy. It's not the smallest chicken wire. I would say it's a little bit. The holes are a little bit bigger than a quarter.
That sounds pretty small.
It's pretty small. Like, I wouldn't imagine that the hind legs of a rabbit would be able to fit through it. But yeah, the animals can do crazy things.
Yeah.
Like the videos of the cats going through the tiny holes.
Well, that a couple of things, Dan. One, don't sleep on cats. They scale my fence over into my yard, no problem. And if they want something, they'll get somewhere. I would also say earlier, my mother was watching live, probably while smoking a cigarette, and when asked what to do with rhubarb, she said you eat it. So, helpful suggestion. Love that feedback. And then Phil Lopez, friend of the show, messaged that he suspects it's your neighbor eating the Swiss cheddar, outsmarting your traps. And honestly, have you had like any recent strifes with any neighbors or any personal conflicts?
No. But,
it's the perfect crime.
You'd think they would show up on the wildlife camera, but maybe not. Maybe it has some sort of machine learning where it only wants to detect animals. It discounts humans. Maybe it
could be.
It's an idea.
Quite a mystery. Could it be a raccoon? I think they like.
We definitely have raccoons. I probably told you about. I wish that I had saved this Ring camera footage, but the raccoon came under our porch and dumped the trash out all over the ground. And then a couple hours later, the cat comes by and starts licking up like whatever like meat juice was left on the ground from the little wrapper that the raccoons were eating. And then the crows came by to eat the rest of the stuff. It was like extremely circle of life. So yes, we definitely have raccoons.
Yeah, Dan, I will say, apparently a quick Google search would tell you it's actually very easy to electrify a small section of chicken wire. So if you really want to keep it straight, it is an option.
Now, could you do it solar powered? Because we don't have any outlets over there.
There's literally a video.
How with a battery?
Yes, how to set up electric chicken fence, and it includes solar panels.
Wow.
So
perfect.
Your neighbors will really think you're a lunatic.
Yeah. I'm already a little worried with the camera.
They're gonna think you're like a hunter or something with an outdoor. Is it like camouflage and stuff?
Oh yeah. Between the camera and the chicken wire, it has very militaristic vibes right now.
Well, you got to go out with like the like camo paint on your face and like the jacket with all like the weeds on it, the ghillie suit.
Yeah.
Get one of those "Don't Tread on Me" flags. And
someone near us, there's this house I walk by, and they have what at a distance appears to be a "Don't Tread on Me" flag. But then as you get closer, the snake has a goofy face, and the text says, "Don't step on sneck."
See, I don't know about that, though, because it's sort of like whenever I wear a red baseball cap. It's like, what percentage of people aren't going to get the fact it's not what they assume it is?
The people with the evolution fish protesting the Christianity fish, I agree. But it made me laugh, so it put a little bit of joy into the world, at least.
Well, please keep the updates coming on the yard, Dan. We'd love to know the solution to your mystery here.
I will let you know.
I recently added some smart home gadgets to my yard.
Okay.
So I've got some new landscaping in the front. I should send you guys a picture. And to water it, I've put out some soaker hoses, the ones that sort of drip slowly and you can run them over time. And I picked up some Wi-Fi enabled sprinkler turn on and offers. I forget.
Yes, we have this too.
Oh, okay, cool.
Did you get the beehive?
I did not get the beehive. Maybe I should have. What's the beehive?
Or am I? That's the name of the app. I don't know if that's what the product is called.
No, I have one. It was called the Rachio.
Oh.
Rachio Smart Hose Timer. And what I like about it, I didn't necessarily care about the Wi-Fi. I would, because I just kind of run it. But what's nice is if it's gonna rain, it won't run.
Yes.
That's the single greatest thing.
Yes.
But it works pretty well. So far, anyway.
It works great. Now, if I had infinite time, I don't necessarily need infinite money for this, but you can. People have designed again, you take a Raspberry Pi, put it in a waterproof enclosure, and then you wire up to it humidity sensors that you stick in the ground.
Yeah.
And then it only waters when it actually needs water, which would be pretty cool.
That is cool.
I'm going to put a link in the Slack
Colby,
here.
yeah, I'm thinking about your situation right now, and I'm already how? Because that would be extremely convenient if you could pull it off.
Well, yeah, especially staring down the barrel of the 100-degree weather we have coming for us.
Right, the heat
The next
apocalypse.
3 days, yeah.
Well, that's why I was in a rush to get these. I just put them in this weekend because I was I'm never going to get enough water in. No, I just sent you guys a link to something I've already ordered, but haven't set up yet. I hadn't seen this before. It's a watering system where it's a thin tube.
Yep.
And at any point you can cut it, put it in a T-joint that is a nozzle, and I'm going to run it around the back fence of my yard and water all the plants where the plants are. And it'll just be hosed for the rest of it, and that's going to go on a timer. So that's next on my list. I'm excited about that.
Yep.
That's
no clue if it's going to work.
Not everyone. A lot of people have those around here. And then they get the thing, the multi-zone irrigation thing. And so there's I think effectively what it is what you already have, except it determines there's one valve from the house and then many valves coming out, and then it determines which subzone gets turned on. Someday, but maybe
I just hate watering. That's basically it. I just don't want to do it. So
you could not do it. So see, another thing that's popular here is to not do it, because then that shows you're environmentally conscious.
Well, but I wouldn't be fiscally conscious of me, considering all the money I spent putting in all of these new plants. So,
right,
it's a vicious cycle. I put in plants and spend money on those, then I have to spend money on watering them to keep them alive.
Yes.
It's a big scam.
Yes. This is, Colby, learn from our mistake. Native plants. At least, I don't know if this is how it works in the Northeast, but you can get plants that don't require watering.
But you know what else doesn't require watering?
You don't have to do anything, and plants just grow.
Concrete.
That's amazing.
That is
concrete. No watering required.
That is what our neighbors did.
Rocks.
Asphalt.
Yep. It's all rocks and concrete.
Very green.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I'd known that.
Well, that's exciting, Shaun. I envy your setup.
Well, I'll report back when it's fully in. For now, the soaker hoses are doing an okay job, but there will be a phase 2 to this.
Have you looked
experiment.
inside the soaker hose? It uses so little water. It's amazing.
The problem I'm having, you have to run it for 30 minutes to really get any water out of it. But the problem I'm having is you have to. I got to look up more experts around it, because you got to get it really close to the plant because of how little water is sort of coming out of it, but it has to run between the plants. And so it's not optimized. I got to optimize the layout of the soaker hose to get right now. I think it's doing an okay job. And I think with a little time, because then I've got rocks now, loose stones. I'm going to bury it underneath them, but haven't done that yet.
Oh, someone did tell me not to bury the soaker hose.
Oh, really?
Because it can get clogged and then it sucks.
That makes sense. Well, I am contemplating actually replacing it with what I showed, the
tube
hose
thing
where you cut it and so it's a nozzle per plant. I feel like that's the most direct way to just get water to it.
Yep.
And then that you can bury because it's a solid pipe.
Yes.
Because I really don't want to see a hose on top of all this new gravel. It's white. Oh, that drives me crazy.
That's fair.
Guys, I got a fun thing.
Okay.
To record and stream the show, we use a platform called Riverside.fm. Wonderful company. We're fans. And today they rolled out a whole bunch of new features. Now, most of them are in the back end. I haven't even had a chance to try them. But one of them is an AI-enabled feature where I can convert text to speech. My speech.
Aha.
It knows I'm the account owner, and it knows what my microphone is. And so it takes the past recordings of me and up to, I think it's up to like 2,000 characters, a statement up to 2,000 characters. It will generate it in my voice.
Ho, ho, ho.
All automatically. They say, perfect for ad reads, intros, outros, it's all podcasting. But I was thinking...
But the reveal is that the entire time, Shaun has just been typing into the thing and then lip syncing afterwards.
Well, I haven't told you guys about some of the other features I haven't got a chance to try, which is I can actually they have an editable transcript. I can actually change words in it, and it will make you say the words I put in your mouth.
What could
and your
possibly
lips
go
will
wrong?
change in the video. Like, it's a thing.
What
so
could possibly go
I'm
wrong?
going to do some experiments. But I was thinking, guys, is there anything you'd like me to say? And we can run a test and see how well it works, and I'll play it back on the show. What's a great statement for me to...
Here.
Something Shaun would never say.
Let's not push it too far, okay? Let's just be careful here. We're having fun.
I'm thinking like a tongue twister.
Oh, sure.
Like one of those weird ones. Like scissors sizzle, thistles sizzle.
Okay.
Here, I'll put it. I'll stick it in the chat.
Paste a couple of them in the chat if any are coming up, and I'll put them in the and I'll paste them in.
Right. I can just I can send you a long one. Oh, never mind. Yeah, scratch that.
Oh,
This is
there's a
gonna be
better
way-
one.
That's way better. Let's really put it to the test.
All right, I'm gonna put. These are great. These are great. This is in beta, Dan. You're gonna just demolish it.
This is what I do. Yeah.
I'm just adding a little bit here. All right, I'm gonna hit generate AI voice. And when I did this earlier, it was pretty quick. So we'll give it a second here, and then I'll download it and play it back. So I'm just saying, you guys better be careful because I'm in control now.
Very much so.
We're going to have to start rewatching the episode for accuracy.
Well, that's the thing is I never edit these, like, ever. Like, I literally just post them because we don't make too many flubs. So I guess you guys will have the opportunity to change some things.
Then what I need to do is to set up one of these Whisper models on my laptop, generate the transcript, and then have it generate a transcript of the episode release and then compare them as sort of a authenticity checksum.
I like that. I like that. You should keep tabs on me.
We
I
could
think
sell
that's very
that then as a
reasonable.
product, actually. Could get acquired by Riverside. That might be nice.
That'd be great.
I've always wanted to be acquired.
Been doing this podcast all these years, waiting for that sweet, sweet liquidity.
And yet 11 years in, still hasn't happened. All right, here we go. I haven't listened to it. I'm just plugging it right into Riverside here.
It generates a WAV file?
It does.
Wow.
Very nice. All right, there it is. So here we go. We're all going to hear it live at the same time. Are you ready? Imagine
ready.
an imaginary menagerie manager managing an imaginary menagerie. Scissor, sizzle, thistle, sizzle. Colby and Dan are my friends. I am a real person. That sounded like me.
It did sound like you.
Yeah.
That was spooky.
It had absolutely no affect at all, though, which
No,
was interesting.
That's like me on cold medicine.
Can you do the show intro? Like, this is Don't Panic.
Oh,
like episode.
That would be
blah, blah,
interesting.
blah.
Does it pick up on the fact that you don't normally say those words with more enthusiasm?
Sure. So actually what I'll do, and I'll do this while we talk, but I will go into the transcript of last week's episode,
Sure.
copy and paste it in,
Ooh, and then do a side-by-side?
and we'll see if it sounded like it did last week. How do I do that? There we go. I want to figure this out. Copy. What a thrill this is for the folks at home.
Well, the AI will edit this down later.
I I wish it would. That would be really helpful for
Like
me.
Overcast Smart Speed, but for everything.
Well, they did add a bunch. I haven't even gotten through all the features. They added a bunch of features, so who knows what's in there.
Or it could just do the thing, like the Apple Intelligence thing, where it just summarizes the entire podcast, re-records the entire thing. Actually, there you go. We could release our ill-fated attempt at doing the 10-minute daily episodes. We could just auto-generate podcast content.
We have 11 years worth of back content to generate from. I think we can automate it. I do want to shout out my dad, who is listening live. It's a Jennings party tonight. And he says, nice shirt, which I'm assuming you're talking about Dan or Colby. I did buy this for a child's Moana-themed birthday party. So it is a nice shirt.
Yeah, we have to monetize. When is OpenAI going to come do the deal with us? How far down the list are we after the Wall Street Journal?
What's less than the bottom?
There's rock bottom.
There's
What
rock
did
bottom,
OpenAI
and then there's the Mariana Trench. I think that's where we are.
What did OpenAI and the Wall Street Journal do?
I don't remember if it was the Wall
That's a
Street Journal.
dangerous... I don't like that. That's a dangerous combination.
I don't remember. Was it the Washington Post? I always get the Wall Street Journal and the Washington Post confused. Even though they're very different, their names are too similar. They start with W. It's all over.
Yeah. Same.
Let's see. Oh, The Atlantic, Vox, all sorts of companies. And Wall Street Journal. Yeah, I was right.
Okay, are you guys ready to hear last week's intro as generated by AI?
Yes.
This is copy-paste word for word from the transcript. Let's see how it did. This is Don't Panic, episode number 386, recorded June 10th, 2024. Hello, everybody. Welcome to this episode of Don't Panic, the technology podcast that brings you its 11th annual WWDC keynote. I'm Shaun Jennings, joined by a man who's excited to create Genmoji in the image playground with Apple Intelligence, Dan Miller. Good evening, Dan. Okay. It is me on slow speed, but it's not bad.
Can you imagine how quick the sponsors would drop out if that was what we did our ad reads with?
Thank you for watching Don't Panic. We have a great show for you tonight.
It's weird. I can't decide. Like, if someone just played me that clip and did not tell me this is supposed to be Shaun, like, I don't think I would think it was you. Because
that's encouraging.
Like it kind of, if you're trying to think about it sounding like you, it sounds like you.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I don't think it actually does.
I think with some, which I'm disappointed it won't let me do you guys. It will only do the account owner for good reason.
Sure.
But I do wonder if one of you guys who are a bit more mild in your conversational style, we could get away with. That is interesting. But we'll never know.
Yeah.
We'll never know. By the way, speaking of AI, Colby, you missed almost all of last week's episode. So we didn't get a chance to get any of your thoughts on the WWDC announcements, all of the Apple Intelligence, all the OS updates, all the new features. Was there anything that stood out to you? Anything you wanted to discuss? Have any opinions on?
I gotta be honest, I didn't really follow up on this stuff super beyond. I don't know. I glanced at the Verge article. Usually our episode about the stuff is when I learn about all the stuff, but I just missed fully missed the boat last week. So I like the idea of Siri being less stupid. Let's put it that way.
I remain super confused. Well, maybe not remain, but you expect a certain amount of confusion the day of, which was when we recorded, but the nice synchronized swig, gentlemen, that was perfect.
As soon as you start talking, Dan, we just get thirsty.
Synchronized swigging.
I'm confused. Like, is the HomePod ever going to get these features? Which features is it getting? And like what? So that's one thing I'm confused about, because that represents definitely the majority of my Lady in the Tube usage, and possibly almost all of it. And when is this coming out? It sounds like which of these things are actually being released in September or October or whenever it is, and which aren't, is also really unclear. Like, yeah, I know they said during the betas, there only a subset of people on the beta would be allowed to use any of the Apple Intelligence features, but does that extend through to release? I don't know.
Well, and it clearly needs a certain chipset, right? Because it's only for the M
Right.
chips and the new A17. So would it even work on current HomePods?
It wouldn't, but in theory, to not cause people to throw out all their HomePods, which I guess on the one hand would be good for Apple, on the other hand could be bad for the environment. It could all work remotely.
Oh, sure. Do the data on your phone.
Well, no. The Apple private cloud thing, which, Colby, this was my favorite part of the presentation. As far as I can tell, Apple is taking they're taking iPhones, stripping out all of the rest of it, and sticking them in the data center, and that's the server for servicing the Apple's generative AI stuff. And there's all sorts of crazy shit they did to make it so that these connections are private. So normally when you talk to a server for anything, like you go to facebook.com or anything, how do you actually know that facebook.com is Facebook? Well, I guess you kind of know because of the green lock thing, the SSL thing, and some third-party company somewhere attested that they gave this certificate to someone who they verified was from Facebook, and therefore they can assure you that this is Facebook. Okay, that's helpful. But how do you know that facebook.com does what it says that it does? And even if, Facebook, and they do this for things like WhatsApp, they're like, oh, we hired this consulting company and they have certified that WhatsApp is end-to-end encrypted. But then how do you know that they don't change that eventually? They're not being constantly audited. So the Apple thing does this cool thing where they give a consultant an image. The consultant hashes the VM image and does their auditing and is like, yep, this is a thing and it does X. And then when they release an operating system update, they release with it that same hash. So you can look at your phone and be like, this is the thing that the consultant said was hashed. And when your phone talks to the server, it asks the server, hey, please do some public key, private key stuff and prove to me that you're the computer running this hash. And it will only talk to the server if it can prove that it is. And the iPhone images are also audited by all these people in a similar way. So in theory, you can't, Apple can't change how these servers work once, without sort of going through this whole process, which is pretty insane. But why can't the HomePod do that? It would certainly cost Apple a lot more money. But the HomePod, they released the HomePod last year. And it's just not going to get any of this stuff? Or will it get some of this stuff?
Well,
I don't know.
The whole announcement was a lot of it could do this. It could do that. There was very little it will do. Dan, I was going to ask you a question because you obviously know a lot about cybersecurity and servers and junk like that, certainly more than I do. And the folks who hear us talking range in their technical skills. So for the common man, would you consider Apple's cloud solution for this to be quote unquote safe? As far as these things go,
yes, it
Were
is
you impressed?
certainly the most verifiable. No one has ever done this before. This type of how do I know who I'm talking to beyond oh, this is I can attest that Facebook.com is the corporate entity that is speaking to me right now. But what is Facebook doing with my data? No one has ever really solved that problem, and this is the first attempt at doing that, and it involves a lot of humans. But if you trust the humans involved, not Apple, but these security researchers, and then you can know mathematically that the thing you're talking to is the same thing that they looked at, and they said that it only does X and Y, and no one else has done that. So in that sense, yeah, it's like actually pretty revolutionary and futuristic. Like not even Amazon, like not even AWS, if you're using AWS as a business customer, they don't even provide this level of, I think the technical term is attestation. Like, how do I know that you're doing what you say you're doing? So yeah, it's pretty cool. I don't know if it matters, right? Because it's not about how it works, it's about how people perceive it. So, and hopefully this, if you're Apple, you hope that not only is this better technically, but also the fact that it's better technically pervades the conversation, and so people feel more comfortable because of it. But yeah, it's pretty crazy. It would be great if more people started doing this.
Yeah, there's a marketing level to it. That's why I wanted to ask: is this marketing spin or is it real technology? And it sounds like you're saying there is some truth behind it.
Oh yeah,
that's always hard to tell.
It's really interesting when Apple does stuff that no one has ever done before. That like rarely happens. And I remember talking about the CSAM thing. That was an instance of this where they were talking about the differential privacy. Do you remember this? It was like something math, something. We collect all this data, but we've actually proven, and here you can download our paper on it, that because of the way we collect it, we cannot trace it back to you. And I forget exactly how that works. I don't think I know enough math to understand. But that was the other thing I can remember that they did like this. So so far it's all been privacy related, where Apple is like completely, blazing the trail. I guess multi-touch screens, not multi-touch. What was it called? The thing that's not capacitive touch.
I think it was multi-touch.
I guess that was what it was called. Yeah. But even then, probably there, someone at Carnegie Mellon University did a tech demo in 1998 or something like that. But and similarly, like people have talked about this in theory. There have maybe been like little proof of concept things on how you do something like this, but no company has ever done it before for a real thing.
Yeah, I think it's cool.
Okay.
I don't know.
It's a wait and see. It's a wait and see.
So the one thing of all of this that sticks out in my head for whatever reason is the bespoke emoji. I feel like I don't know. Like I don't know. Do you think it ruins emoji if it's different if nothing means anything? If there's no framework?
It's a good question. I mean, there's so many emoji now. Like, it's grown so massive. I think the question becomes, what does it actually generate? Like, if they stay in the general art style of emoji, I'm not as worried. If they can look like anything, then that's going to suck. Sure. But if it's, like, the proposal they said was like, oh, you could smash emoji together and, like, it makes a little... that could be fun. It's, again, one of those features, like, how many people are really going to use it? I don't know. There's so many... I talked last week, I didn't even know it was called a tap back. when you respond to the little individual messages and you send... there's just so many features now in iOS, I don't even use half of them.
Mm. I liked there was a thing in the website somewhere that was like, oh, you can ask Siri about what to do with your phone, which I think is actually a good idea. I feel like that's a thing that today's Siri is actually like kind of good at, is like changing settings and stuff on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you ever like can't, just want to
never even thought to do that.
I never had either, and I think it was at my old job where I was working on the phone app, and we were trying to do we were doing like accessibility stuff for the app, And so I had turned on like voiceover or whatever the thing is, and I could not figure out how to turn it off. And so I just asked Siri to turn it off, and she did it. She was like, "Sure, done." Like, wow, that's the best Siri experience I've ever. Sounds
Now,
cool.
let me ask you this, because I think, and Dan, you can disagree, I think maybe the most excited thing that you and I were excited about from the announcement, phone mirroring and notifications on Mac OS. Or at least it got the most discussion out of us.
It did. I don't remember being excited about it.
Okay, I
remember you were excited about it, and I was curious why you were so excited about it.
Colby, are you at all excited? The idea that you can basically mirror your phone on your Mac, interact with it fully, even when your phone is turned off or in a bag or anything like that. The full apps, the notifications will all come through your Mac. Does that do anything for you?
Maybe. It seems like it makes a lot of other things like pretty obsolete. Like, who needs iMessage on the Mac when you could just like scoot onto your phone? I think maybe depending on how it works, I could see like if there's a version of that is like not super weird, maybe I could like, do my work, have like use my phone from my work laptop and not have to sign into all my stuff from my work laptop. That seems like maybe kind of appealing. But I don't know. What is exciting to you about that?
I'm addicted to my phone. I think that's I've just come to that realization after you both were nonplussed about it. I think I'm addicted to my phone and I can't put it down. No, it's really more about the notifications than anything else. I get an irresponsible amount of notifications, and I'm constantly, and I don't have an Apple Watch because I got so many notifications. I didn't want them buzzing on my wrist, but I already stare at the computer for 8 to 10 hours a day. And so to have the notifications where I'm already looking is like a fantastic bonus for me. Now, how much will I use the apps and stuff? I don't know. I mean, we've always said, when are iOS apps going to come to Mac? And they have a little bit, but now they're all available. There's no coding needed. They're already there. So that's interesting to me. It just seems like such an obvious idea. So I'm excited to give it a shot. The only problem is I spend, of my desktop computing time, 80% of it is spent on a Windows machine. So not as useful.
Emoji.
I may have to double down on Mac at work. I don't know.
Yeah, I still think that the kinds of things that they showed off being able to do, it was interesting that they weren't competing with anyone else. And I didn't watch the Google I/O thing, but I haven't seen people talking about Google doing this either. But maybe I need to look into it. But I haven't heard people say like, "Oh, you can say, hey Google, show me all the photos I took of Shaun last year." Maybe you can do that. Like, I bet you could type that into the Google Photos app, and it would do it for you. But I thought that was interesting, and I thought beyond that, using the we still don't know how it's going to work. Either like taking screenshots of the phone, which is, if that's what they're doing, it's funny because Microsoft got into huge shit over this, and it's possible that Apple's building the exact same feature, like the thing where you can say, show me photos like this one, and you don't give it anything. It knows, oh, what are you looking at right now? Oh, I see a photo there. Oh, okay, let me find photos like this one. That's really cool. Maybe they're not taking a screenshot. Maybe they're doing the accessibility mode stuff. So it's like, oh, in SwiftUI, there's like the photos thing, and I know that this app has a photo, or I can pull it from there, or what? I don't entirely understand how iOS programming works, but that seems like a level of integration that Android apps don't have, especially because a lot of people on Android don't use apps, is my understanding. Not like At least that I remember reading that at one point, that at least people on iOS pay for apps way more. And like, I would be curious to know what is the distribution of people using apps on Android. But anyways, it seems like Apple is competing with no one in this area, which is great for them.
Well, I can tell you, Dan, according to this Google AI-generated summary of my search, iPhone users spend an average of 9 more hours per month using apps than Android users. iPhone users are more likely to spend money on apps and in-app purchases. Let's see. That's not on average. iPhone users spend $12.77 per app, while Android users spend $6.19. However,
app?
Per app on average.
That's shocking. I'm shocked at both of those numbers. I thought for sure it would be like $1.50 or whatever, because it would be mostly dollar purchases. Huh.
I will also say, apparently, Android users are more likely to open push notifications than iOS users, which is interesting.
Interesting. I feel like I just get too many push notifications to open. They just all become garbage. And
Just wait till they're on your desktop. How fun! This is gonna be great.
Maybe. I don't know. Like, you know what I hate? This is tangential, but I hate the apps like Amazon and Uber, where like you can't turn off, like if you turn off notifications, it fully obviated the point of the app. But because of that, they are free to send you like constant garbage notifications. You just have to put up with it because the only other option is to turn off notifications for the app. And if you do that, it's like pointless. The whole app is pointless. And I resent that. And I hope maybe the Apple intelligence will be able to choose notifications for me. Like
It actually can.
Well, that's perfect then. Like,
priority notifications. No, it will filter out supposedly the actual ones you need to see. So, your life's turning around.
And in theory, you can turn off these notifications. I think it's technically like an App Store guideline thing, and typically if you Google it or hunt for it, you can find some checkboxes that will enable and disable certain things. They do sometimes have a habit of turning themselves back on after some update.
Yeah, I've definitely like tried, and I definitely still get them. So I'm sure it's like, they added a new checkbox or whatever. But
well, I'm already cooking up my phone. I'm on an iPhone 12 right now.
Nice.
It's been 3 years, so I'm already cooking up an upgrade between now and the fall to enable these AI features.
The iPhone 12 was a good one.
I'll be honest, the only reason it's starting to do that thing where it doesn't really hold a charge.
Mm-hmm.
And Apple has that like cheap, battery replacement option. However, this is a company phone, and after a long enough time, they'll just give me an updated one. Otherwise, I love it. Like, there's nothing wrong with it. It runs fantastically. Maybe that's part of the reason why Apple's like, the new stuff's only on the new chips, because all the old phones still work great. I'm not sure.
There are definitely technological reasons in this case.
I don't know. This thing's still banging, so I'm overdue.
Fair.
Well, that's exciting.
You deserve it, Shaun.
Oh, stop. Listen, I'm a businessman. I'm on my phone all day, making deals and closing clients or whatever. That's what I do. Is there anything else you guys would like to discuss this evening? Anything else on the radar, on the list?
No.
Did we talk
Colby,
about
how's
my
the
new
TV doing?
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
It's good. It was pretty annoying because it was roughly the same size, like physically the same size as my old TV. It was a smidge bigger, but the TV mount mounted on a completely different place on the TV. It was like way lower. So I had to move the stupid wall bracket to put it up, which was annoying. And then yeah, it's still a little crooked because I can't like get my hand behind the like. My other TV had it had a lot of terrain on the back. Like it was like curved, like there was a bunch of stuff. And this one is super flat, so you can't get your hand back there to adjust the wall mount, which is fine. So it's just slightly crooked. It looks pretty nice. I hated the way it looked in the first like 10 minutes. And then I changed the settings and I was like, okay, this is a little better. But I still hate it. And like now I've gotten used to it. It is way too bright. Like most of my TV watching I do at night with like the lights almost all the way off, like preparing for bed. And it's just like too bright. It lights up the whole room. I like specifically chose a less bright like mode and turned the brightness all the way down. It's still too bright.
Too many nits.
Yeah, they've gone too far. But yeah, otherwise it looks pretty good. One thing I do like is whatever like HDMI CAC thing they have now lets the Apple TV control, like not just like from the remote IR sensor, like control the volume, but like the Apple TV itself is controlling the volume on the TV, which means that the remote app on your phone can control the volume on the TV. You don't need the physical remote to control the volume, which is great. I don't like how smart it is. There's like a Google TV thing that I was always trying to be on, and that is basically not what I want. But otherwise, it's pretty good. You know, so far it does the thing. I tried some Dolby Vision things, and it's bright. It's very it's very bright.
But it's got
Also,
local dimming, so it's not bright everywhere. It's just bright in many places.
Right. I mean, maybe I just need to curate my shows better, so like the darker, moodier shows are.
Well, I was going to say, doesn't the Dragon show come back tonight? Or no, not tonight. Was that last night?
Dragon show.
I don't know.
There's that this Sunday.
HBO anymore. I spent all.
No, it was last night. It was last night. Was the first episode. I'm not crazy. Max told me it was all in the app.
Max. Yeah.
So you'll have to see how that looks.
Right. Yeah. You know, I was dragged kicking and screaming into 2020 TVs. 2020.
And you don't like
TVs. Yeah, it's fine. It's acceptable.
We're gonna. If anyone has any extra pairs of sunglasses, please send them to Colby so he can watch his television. He's going to get a tan. He's got to put some lotion on.
That's a good idea. You know, for my birthday, Laura got me a pair of prescription sunglasses, and they're not too dark.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it could be a good combo, because then, in addition to it being less bright, I'd be able to see all the detail on this high resolution television.
Report back. Let us know.
Mm-hmm. Yep. The other half of this story is I still have to get rid of the old TV, which is so annoying.
You can't just like push it out the window?
I can.
Didn't you have a dumpster fire a couple years ago? You could just wait for another one of those.
Colby comes running with a TV as the dumpster's on fire. Wait.
I've got something.
Wait for me. That's a good idea.
You need to call Merlin's Junk Boys.
Mm-hmm. Allegedly there is some way to like schedule a electronics pickup with the city. So I'm probably going to try and do that. But I always feel confused and nervous because like my building doesn't have city trash, right? Like we're too big to have city trash. So I don't know if I'm going to call up and they're going to be like, come on, get out of here. See, you have to deal with it yourself. I just don't know.
Well, if anyone's looking for a busted plasma TV, please write to us.
It doesn't work. Honestly, it might be fixable. I have no idea. I don't know anything about TVs.
There you go. My dad just tossed out an old CRT giant.
Oh no!
Which is funny. I told him they were collectible now. I told him they had value. It was an old RCA. It was good size.
Post them on Craigslist. You'll get some like the MIT Super Smash Brothers Club doing a road trip out there to come get it.
The funny thing is, he paid a guy to take it. What? And I said, "You got ripped off." I said, "You," and he was shocked. He's like,
turned around and sold it on the internet.
He's like, "People want these." I'm like, Dan, I'm not joking. I literally explained the Smash Brothers thing to him and why, and he was a very sweet man, but he said, "Okay, sounds good."
That's understandable.
Didn't quite click. Guys, I think we're cruising towards the exits here on tonight's program. Thanks, everybody, for joining us, as always. I will say, next Monday, I will be not at home. I will be traveling. You'll never guess where. It's, spoiler alert, it's
Las Vegas.
Mildly interesting. No.
Oh.
Beautiful Charlotte, North Carolina. I'll be there.
Mildly interesting.
On some job site visits. I'm going to 9 construction job sites in 3 days in 95-degree weather. It's going to be great. I will sweat a lot.
Do you get to do any more like demo videos?
Right, you get to do the cool drill video.
We will be filming. But I will not be the star. The contractor's the star. I'm just there, and I go, "Oh yeah." Contractors love to talk. They're like the most talkative people on the planet. So they tell, "Oh yeah, that's really, wow." So you do it that? Okay, yeah, that's cool. No, that's great. So it's gonna be a treat. So we'll see about next week. Who knows? Maybe if you two do the show, I can maybe call in a little bit from Charlotte. Who knows if I'm not passed out at that point? But we got a lot of great stuff on the website, don'tpanic.io. You should go there. All the past episodes are there, including WWDC from last week. Check it out. Of course, we're live Monday nights at about 9 p.m. Eastern, streaming live on our Twitch, on our YouTube, and also on our Facebook. So make sure you check out those places. Of course, you can get a hold of us, don'tpanicshow@gmail.com. Is a great way to email us. And that's all the information you need to know. So we're going to wrap it up here. On behalf of Colby and Dan, I'm Shaun. We always appreciate you being here, and we're going to see you next time on another great episode of Don't Panic. Now I'm thinking I should do it in the AI voice.
Do it.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Don't Panic. We appreciate you being here. It's always nice to spend time with our fans. On behalf of Colby and Dan, I'm Shaun. We'll see you next time for another great episode of Don't Panic.